All right, so picture this. You're making dinner, right? Maybe some French fries or a stir fry. You reach for that bottle of vegetable oil.
Hmm.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But have you ever stopped to think about how that oil actually gets made?
We use those oils every day, but yeah, we don't think about that often.
And that is what we are diving into today.
Right.
The surprisingly complex world of how those oils go from, well, their raw form to the golden goodness in your kitchen.
It's a really interesting process,
It
actually.
really is. And along the way, we'll meet the unsung heroes of the edible oil industry, refining machine operators. We've got some really cool info from RoleCatcher, the career development platform.
Oh, cool.
We're going to uncover what these operators do, how they do it, and even how technology like AI is changing the game for them.
They're kind of like the behind the scenes, I don't know, orchestrators of this whole process most people don't even realize exists.
I love that orchestrator. So when we say refining machine operator, what exactly are we talking about? Like, paint us a picture of their typical day.
Okay, so imagine a really busy refinery or processing plant, right? It's a place full of these huge machines humming away. And these machines are transforming crude oils. And that just means oils extracted directly from soybeans, cottonseeds, peanuts, whatever it is, into the final product that we all know and love.
Okay, so it's more than just like flipping a switch and letting things run on autopilot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. These operators are the ones running the show. They're monitoring all those intricate refining machines. They're troubleshooting any problems that come up. And of course, they make sure that the final product meets, all the quality standards. It's a job that requires someone who's detail-oriented and who really understands how all the equipment works.
It sounds like a high-stakes performance, a dance between precision and problem solving almost.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And one of the key things they manage is something called wash tanks.
Wash tanks. What are those?
So imagine if you were trying to separate, I don't know, mud out of water. Wash tanks kind of do that for oil. They separate the unwanted stuff, all the byproducts, so the oil that's left is as pure as possible.
So is there a lot of chemistry involved in this?
Oh, tons. Refining machine operators need to be comfortable with the chemical reactions that happen inside those tanks. Like, one common process is called alkali refining. They use lye to remove fatty acids from the oil. And that's super important because without that step, your cooking oil wouldn't taste as neutral and it wouldn't last as long on the shelf.
That's amazing. So we're talking about a job that needs a mix of science and hands-on skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's not just about the technical stuff. RoleCatcher really stresses how important soft skills are in this field. Things like being able to solve problems quickly, working well in a team, and communicating clearly in a fast-paced environment. And let's be honest, sometimes kind of dangerous environment.
It really shows you how important those soft skills are, no matter what you do for a living. But speaking of different fields, how do you even get started in the refining industry? Is it all on-the-job training, or do you need a certain education to become a refining machine operator?
That's where those career insights from RoleCatcher are really useful. They give you a good idea of how people usually become operators.
Okay, so what's the typical path?
Usually you'll need a high school diploma to get started.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets interesting. Practical experience is really important in this line of work.
Okay.
On-the-job training is where you get that real-world experience. You got to get your hands dirty.
That makes sense. I can't imagine learning to operate those massive refining machines just by reading a book.
Exactly. It's a hands-on job all the way. But that being said, apprenticeships and vocational courses can definitely help.
Mhm.
Actually, RoleCatcher mentioned a refining machine operator certification. That can make a big difference.
Wait, so there's a certification specifically for refining machine operators. That must look good on a resume.
It definitely does. It tells employers that you're serious about the job and that you've got a solid understanding of the basics. But you know what I find really cool? The learning never really stops. This isn't a dead-end job at all.
Oh, really? Tell me more about the career growth opportunities.
So as you get more experience, maybe some extra training here and there, you can move up to supervisory or even management positions. Think about it. Going from running one machine to overseeing a whole refinery operation.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. It sounds like there are clear steps you can take to gain more responsibility and leadership skills.
Exactly. RoleCatcher actually lists these different stages and even gives examples of what you might be doing at each level. So for example, let's say you're an entry-level operator.
Okay.
You might be focused on like the daily operation and monitoring of those machines. You'd also be responsible for regular maintenance, troubleshooting basic problems, and of course, making sure everyone's following all those safety procedures.
So it's all about learning the ropes and building a strong foundation.
Yeah, exactly. Then, as you progress, you might start handling more complex troubleshooting. You might work with teams to make the refining process more efficient. You could even train and mentor new operators, passing on your knowledge.
There's something really satisfying about sharing your knowledge and helping people in their careers, don't you think?
It really is. And, who knows, maybe down the road you're in a senior role overseeing those entire refinery operations we talked about.
Hmm.
Maybe you're analyzing data to improve efficiency or even developing training programs for new employees. There are tons of possibilities.
So we've talked about the path from starting out to becoming a real expert in the field. But there's one more thing we need to bring up. Technology, especially AI. What kind of impact is AI having on the refining industry and the roles of these operators? It's pretty wild when you think about it. All these massive machines, and now we've got AI coming into the picture too.
It's like something straight out of Star Wars or something.
Right. So how is AI actually being used in oil refining? What does that look like?
Well, RoleCatcher actually had a whole section on this, and it's super interesting. So they were talking about these AI systems that can look at all the data coming from the refining process, in real time.
Okay.
And they can use that data to optimize all kinds of things, like the temperature, the timing of those wash cycles we talked about, all sorts of stuff.
So it's almost like having a super smart assistant helping out the refining machine
Yeah,
operators.
exactly. It's not about replacing people, though. It's more about giving those operators better tools so they can focus on the stuff that really needs a human touch.
Right, like those unexpected problems that come up or things that require more creative problem solving.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher made a really good point about this whole thing with AI.
What's that?
They said that because of all this new technology, it's more important than ever for refining machine operators to be adaptable and willing to learn new things.
That makes sense. So how does that actually play out?
Well, they talked about how it even affects the job search process.
Interesting.
They said that if you're applying for one of these jobs, you need to highlight those adaptable skills on your resume,
Yeah.
and really emphasize them in interviews.
So even just getting a job in this field is being shaped by AI. It's come full circle.
Totally. And it's not just about saying, oh, yeah, I know how to use this software or whatever. You have to show them that you're a quick learner, that you're comfortable with technology, and that you can adapt to new situations easily.
It's like that old saying, the only constant is change.
Right.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We talked about what seemed like a simple bottle of cooking oil, and we ended up exploring the intricacies of oil refining, career paths, AI. It's been quite a journey.
And don't forget about those wash tanks. They're the unsung heroes, I tell you.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, what are the big takeaways you think our listeners should remember?
Well, first off, I think we need to give some credit to the refining machine operators out there. Most people don't even realize they exist, but without them, we wouldn't have all these oils that we use every single day.
They're the hidden workforce behind so many of the foods we love.
Yeah, for sure. And second, I think this deep dive showed us that this kind of work can be really rewarding. If you like working with your hands, solving problems, and seeing a product through from start to finish, this could be a great field for you.
And it sounds like there's a lot of room to grow and move up in your career, too.
Absolutely. And last but not least, I think this whole conversation about AI just proves that it's so important to be adaptable and always be willing to learn new things. No matter what you do for a living, that's good advice.
It really is. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you enjoyed learning about this fascinating field. Until next time, keep exploring.